A very warm welcome to the new episode of Ink and Insights. I'm extremely pleased to welcome a very talented guest today. She is Sara Naveed from Pakistan, Lahore. To all the audience out there in Pakistan, I just want to convey this that this podcast is Kathmandu based. Nevertheless, we showcase thought leaders and authors from different other countries. So if you are interested to listen to some of the other authors from different other countries representing different genre, please do subscribe my channel. Let me briefly introduce you to Sara. Sara completed her master's degree with a gold medal in banking and finance from University of Management and Technology, Lahore. She has written 5 books. I think with the sixth one just released a few days ago. Writing warm and heartfelt romantic fiction, the Lahore-based author has had a successful trajectory, going from self-publishing her first book to having Penguin Random House in India acquiring the rights to her first and second books. Published in November 2014, Undying Affinity is her debut romance novel. Her second novel, titled Our Story Ends Here, was published by Penguin Random House India. Her other books include All of My Heart, The World Between Us, and The Cold Heart. Sarah, thank you so much for your time. It's indeed a great pleasure to have you in my show.
Thank you so much, Sumit, for having me on your podcast.
Thank you. Sarah, can you share a bit about your background and what sparked your interest in writing romantic fictions to my audience out here in Nepal?
Okay, well, actually, I spent majority of my childhood in the Middle East. I stayed in the UAE for over a decade, and then at that time, Bollywood movies had started to come out. We were in the
Early 90s, and since I was a toddler, my dad made me sit in front of the TV and made me, watch the movie. So there was a Bollywood movie on TV, Maine Pyar Kiya. It starred Salman Khan, and that was one of his, blockbusters. So I started watching that movie. I was around 2 or 3 years. I don't exactly remember my age now, but yes, at that time I was really fascinated with the Bollywood industry and the entire idea of a movie. And then there were Bollywood songs and everything. So I think that is when my initial love started with watching romance. I grew up watching romance on TV, and then I started reading romantic novels. And that's how I developed interest in this specific genre. And then I started reading books, discovered different genres apart from romance. I was a huge fan of Archie comics. And then my writing phase initially started when I writing fan fictions for a Bollywood movie forum. So, I made up stories of different characters from movies, and I created my own stories. And, internet was a new thing back in that day, and people came to these forums and they read these stories, these fan fictions, and they really admired my work at that time. So even getting a small token of appreciation by a few bunch of internet users boosted my my writing skill. And then that's how I figured it out. Maybe I should become a writer one day, but even at that time I was not serious about my writing at all. Then later on, when I completed my masters, and at that time I realized maybe it's time to take my writing to the next level. Maybe I should write something seriously, right? Maybe I should write a book and then get it published. So that's how I discovered my journey as a writer, and that was back in 2011. So yes, the idea for my first book came back to me in 2011, and I have been writing ever since. So it's more than, you can say more than 12 or 13 years now.
Right. So initially, you wanted to write a story for a movie, or you wanted to write a script for a movie, for a Bollywood movie.
No, I wouldn't say wanted to write a script for a Bollywood movie, but it was just an idea for a book. The characters of the book were inspired somehow by the actors and actresses, by celebrities, but the idea was initially to write a book. I just wanted to write a love story. I wanted to write a romantic story, and then get it published somehow. So that was a later on. The publishing journey itself was a big step, but initially my plan was just to write a book. It wasn't any it wasn't written for any movie script or any drama script. No, it was just a book.
Right. So how is it? How much is it difficult to write romantic fiction compared to that of the other fictions? Have you ever given a thought of writing fiction from other genres as well?
Oh yes, definitely. I mean, I have recently, five of my books have been published so far, and sixth one is still, under process. I mean, I've completed a draft, but it's not published yet. So my sixth book is yet to come. But speaking of my last five books, all first four of them were completely they were romance fiction. But with my fifth book, I ventured into a different genre and I tried my writing at a psychological thriller. So that is a genre that I discovered other than romance. So, and it was, I had a ball
Right.
writing a psychological thriller. It was a very different concept and I really enjoyed working on that genre, and it definitely was a very different experience for me.
Right. Right. So
Yeah.
you know, your first fiction that came on 2014, right? The first
Yes.
fiction.
Undying
Can you please
Infinity.
tell us?
Yes.
Yeah. So can you please tell us something about that work?
Actually, it was just a pure, simple love story. It was about a student who somehow, fell for her professor, and both had completely different personalities, and they came from different backgrounds, and somehow, destiny made them come together, and how both of them overcome the challenges, whether it was societal challenges, whether it was family pressures. But it was a very, I would say it was essentially it was a very basic love story. So yes, I think that is about it. I mean, the book, when it was published, I published self published it initially before Penguin acquired it. So when I self published the book, I remember I was responsible for marketing the book entirely. I mean, social media had just come, been a part of our lives, and on Facebook I had garnered a huge amount of audience on my Facebook page, and then I came to Instagram, and then at that time, all my followers, there was no paid promotions at that time. I'm talking about 2014, so it's
Yeah.
like a decade back. There was no paid promotions and everything was organic even on social media. So I had garnered a couple of followers and they were actually looking forward to reading this book. And I remember the book got mixed reviews. I mean, in terms of since I was a female author based in Pakistan, a Muslim author, so people were not very accepting towards a female Pakistani writer writing romance. And if there were a few intimate scenes in the book, which a couple of readers did not like them much. And I remember receiving criticism for writing those scenes. But I would still say that, I mean, romance scenes is an integral part of a romantic book. I mean, how could you make your readers imagine it if you're not writing a romantic scene in your book? I mean, that just entirely kills the purpose of a romance fiction book. So yes, but later when Penguin acquired it and the book got a very major release in Southeast Asian market, readers just went crazy after it. I mean, Undying Infinity and my second book, Our Story Ends There, are still the most popular books that I've written. People are still
Right.
crazy about those books, and I've received multiple requests from fans. They are tell me to write a sequel for these books, and that is still under consideration. So yeah, this is how it started for me.
Right. So, how much do you think that the culture plays an important role in shaping up a particular kind of work and fiction, and particularly in romantic fiction? Do you sort of pick up your character
I think,
from? Does it get influenced by the culture?
Of course, all my characters are heavily influenced by culture. Since I am based in Pakistan, I live in Lahore, so I tend to, make my characters living in the same vicinity. Talking about the same things that I know of. Talking about food, whether it's about food, whether it's about fashion, whether it's about pop culture. Everything is inspired by the culture that you're a part of. So that, I think that plays a major role. But I'd still be I'm very conscious when it comes to religion. I do not want to mix religion with culture or with literature, because
Yeah.
that sort of creates a lot of conspiracy. So yes, as far as culture is concerned, that plays a huge role for all the characters in my books.
Right. And how do you go about developing your characters further?
uh I guess it's just inspiration. I mean, it could be a character, could be inspiration from a particular movie character that I've seen recently, or it could be, some of the personality facets could be derived from any other fiction character that I've read in a book. So I think it's just a inspiration of a couple of ideas, or something that has been germinated in my mind for a long time, but I was not thinking about it. So it all comes from
And is
inspiration
there any,
that you can derive from
right,
anything.
right. And is there any writing process for you? Do you have any sort of rituals? How do you write every day?
Right now, I'm not writing anything, because I'm still waiting to get a publisher for my sixth book. So I'm not writing anything. I would say I would not also say that it's not a writer's block, because I'm consciously not writing it. But when I have a writing routine, I tend to stick to a schedule of making it a habit of writing it daily. I mean, I try to set up a goal for me, like I have to write 1,000 or 2,000 words a day. And if I stick to that goal, if I stay consistent, only then I'm able to finish a book in a certain amount of time. I mean, having consistency with your writing schedule is very important. If there's no
Yeah.
consistency, if you're not following any routine, then I don't think you'll ever be able to finish writing a book. So that's really important, and that has helped me a lot. Since I have written all these books with a full-time job, I've been working for over a decade now. So all these books that I've written them with a full-time job. So I remember when I taking 1 hour break within my work shift and dedicating that 1 hour to my book. Or you could say, just I used to write as many as words as I could during that 1 hour break. So yes, that's how I've been managing to write all in all these years.
Right. And romance is also a genre which has its own set of challenges. What are the set of challenges that you think are the most prominent while writing the romantic fictions?
I don't think there are any particular challenges when it comes to writing romance fiction. I don't think any Western authors would have faced any challenges. I can't speak of them. But since I live in Southeast Asia, and I live in a Muslim country, where somehow readers do judge Muslim female authors for writing romance
Right.
or for writing bold scenes. And I was initially, when I started off, I was just judged by a lot of readers. I mean, they did not want to read those scenes if they were written by me. But if the same scenes were written by a Western author, a Western female
Right.
romance author, they were okay reading that. So yes, that were the challenges that I did face in the beginning. But over time, you sort of mature, you overcome all these things, and now such feedback uh, does not matter to me at all. I mean, that does not affect me. I mean, I have moved past all of those comments, all of those snarky comments, but now I don't really take them into account. I mean, I just write what I want to write. I write from my heart, and I want to feel whatever I'm writing. And for me, if I'm writing a romance book, I have to be able to make readers imagine what a love story is, or how
Right.
a particular scene could be. So yes, it was a challenge uh, in the beginning, but now I don't see it as a challenge anymore.
Right. And are there space wherein the kind of work that you do? Is there a possibility of getting it adopted for a movie or for a serials in Pakistan itself?
Well, to be very honest, I haven't been offered any right opportunity so far. I mean, I yes, it is my dream to get one of my books adapted into a movie, or or a web series or something like that. But I haven't been offered any such opportunity as of now. But yes, I'm still waiting for that day. Whenever the right opportunity comes my way, I would definitely be open for that. I mean, I would love to see, my book being adapted into a movie, and that would be a great thing. I think
Right.
it would be a great thing for any writer.
Absolutely, absolutely. And out of all the books that you have written, which one is your, there's always some books that's pretty close to your heart. And are there any characters that's very close to your heart as well?
Yes, Our Story Ends Here, my second book. When I was writing that book, I still remember being very attached to the characters. I mean, I lived through them. I lived through each character, and I felt them so closely that when I moved, it was a big, big challenge for me to move on to another book and to think about other characters, because I was still thinking about the characters in my second book, Our Story Ends Here. I think that one book is really close to my heart. And then my third book, All of My Heart, that is really close to my heart, because I feel that is one work that I'm really proud of myself, because all the story and the characters, they're really close to reality. They're really close to, like people you would, when you're reading that book, you would feel that maybe I know this person in real life, because that character feels so relatable. So yes, those two books, Our Story Ends Here and my third book, All of My Heart, are my top favorites.
So, can you please tell us something about your third book, All of Your Hearts?
all of my
It,
heart is about all of my heart is about first love. It's about first heartbreak. It's about friendship. It's about emotional connect. It's about relationships. It's about a failed marriage. I would say it's a combination of so many things. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful story. I can't describe it in few words, but that is really, really close to my heart.
and
It's
the
about
plot is
actually
based on
it's about two best friends. In
Okay,
essentially, the book is about two best friends
right,
who become friends when they're younger, and then they grow apart, and then they meet again. There's a time lapse, and then they meet again after a few years down the line. They meet again, so there's a time lapse between within the book. So it's about two people, growing up together, facing different circumstances, but yet again managing to find a way to each other back. So it's a beautiful story.
right,
I don't want to spill too much information
right,
about it, because I still want people to read it.
right, right. So the plot is based on Pakistan itself.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you connect with your readers, Sarah? Have you had any memorable interactions or feedback from readers that have particularly touched you?
I interact with them all the time. I mean, social media is a great tool that helps artists connect with their fans, connect with their readers all the time. And I tend to be very active on social media, especially Instagram now, and Twitter. I used to be really active on Twitter, but now when it turned to X, when Elon Musk, hijacked it, I sort of grew a bit apart from that platform. But yes, I am really active on social media, and I try my best to respond to all my readers whenever they send me a message, whenever they send me a book review, they talk about my book, they send me messages on Instagram, and I try my level best to respond to each one of them. So I think all these little moments of interactions are important for me, and I don't think there's a particular event that I remember, but all the interactions that I've had with my readers in the past that have been very memorable to me and very special.
And Sarah, does your writing is inspired by authors who are writing some other romantic fictions, or your writing style has been inspired by any authors who is writing romantic fictions?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Like I said, I grew up reading romance novels. So there's one author, she's an American author, Colleen Hoover. Have you heard of her name? She also writes
Yeah.
romance.
Hmm.
So yeah, I draw a lot of inspiration from her work. So she has been one of my favorite romance authors, and I was you very very inspired by her work. So yes, I would say that she is someone who I get a lot of inspiration from. And then there's Jojo Moyes, then there's Cecilia Ahern, and in recently I've discovered my love for another romance author. She writes amazing rom-coms. Her name is Emily Henry, and you must have heard of her as well. She's written her recent book was Happy Place, and prior
Mhm.
to that she'd written Book Lovers, that was a bestseller last year. So yes, Emily Henry is also my current favorite these days. So I whenever I'm reading a romantic book, I tend to get inspired by all these authors because they're also amazing and they write beautiful books. They have beautiful stories to share.
Right. And do you feel that your writing has evolved over a period of over a course of time? And then when you reflect back to your first book and then your fourth or fifth work, do you see the difference in terms of the way it has evolved?
Oh yes, definitely. I see a lot of difference. I mean, when I look back, when I open my first book, I find it so immature. I mean, I think back and I think about it a lot, and I really always say that I wish I could, rewrite the book again, and I would have written it in a different way. So yes, definitely, writing has definitely evolved with time, and even I think even your experiences as a person, as a human being, they also
Right.
evolve. So,
True.
when you're writing, you always talk about your own experiences as well. So, I think, yes, definitely. Experiences, your writing, your thinking abilities, your, idea of approaching a certain subject that evolves with time. So, that has definitely happened for me as well.
Do you have any advice for those writers who want to aspire to be you know, a romantic fiction writers?
I would say just believe in the idea of love, be hopeless romantic. Only then you will be able to write romance fiction because you need to believe in the idea of love, in the idea of soulmates. I mean, if you're not a staunch believer of love, of this emotion, of this beautiful emotion, then you won't be able to write romance. You have to read a
Right.
lot of romance books, watch a lot of romantic content in terms of movies and seasons. I think even that will give you a lot of inspiration to write if you really want to become a romance author. Yeah, then.
And what can you share any insights into your upcoming projects or work in progress?
Yeah, sure. My sixth book is a cross cultural romance book. It's about two characters who are different from each other in terms of religion, in terms of culture. The male protagonist is based in the West, while the female protagonist is based in Southeast Asia. So, and
Right.
somehow, they fall for each other. It's a very beautiful, cute love story. And right now, I'm in the process of hunting a right publisher for my book. And inshallah, I hope that it comes out this year, or hopefully, I find someone as a publisher this year so that I can, share the news with everybody.
And how difficult is it for the readers in South Asia, for example, in Pakistan or Nepal or in India, to sort of internalize the cross-cultural love stories that we bring in from different other parts of the country? You think?
I think they're very open towards reading anything. I mean, if it depends on the genre that they're reading, and if they're,
Mhm.
into if they have a fondness for a particular genre, they would just read. And if something comes out from their favorite author, they would definitely just pick the book and they'll start reading. And so far, in my experience, all my readers have been very welcoming to all the books that I've written so far. So yes,
Right.
Alhamdulillah, I'm blessed for that. Blessed for having so many amazing readers.
Yeah, we look forward, for your reading your new novel, Sarah. And in today's digital age, how do you think technology has influenced the way stories are told and consumed, especially in the context of romance literature?
I think people nowadays tend to read more digital books, or they are into audiobooks. But I've been always been someone who has a very traditional approach when it comes to books. I love reading paperbacks. I love hardbacks. Not a fan of really this all this digital realm. But
Right.
in terms, if you, like I said, if you are a fond of this genre, you would definitely find time for it. Like for instance, if you're consuming any sort of content that you're watching, whether it's on the TV, whether it's in the form of a book. I mean, if you want a nice escape, a
Mhm.
pleasurable escape, then you'll definitely make time for it, no matter
Right.
what happens.
And do you think the technological inventions would also affect the space of literature, particularly the romance literature as such?
No, I don't think so. I mean, this genre never goes out of style. It never, people who love this genre, they'll always come for it. I mean, as an author, I would love to explore more genres, but still, my real love still lies with it. I mean, I'd always write something by, you know, taking support of this genre. For instance, my fifth book was a psychological romance thriller, so there was an
Hmm.
element of romance in it. I would just not dive into writing a fantasy book. If I'm ever writing fantasy, I would write a fantasy romance novel. That's about it, because that's how I'm known for, writing
Right.
romance. Yes. So I don't think
Right.
so
So
this is ever going anywhere.
no, what I also intend to ask is that the all sort of new technological innovations, like in the field of AI or some other
Mhm.
technological innovation, would that impact the space of literature or the way the writers would approach the whole set of writings?
AI has definitely made a huge impact in our lives, but no matter what happens, it cannot take away your creativity. It cannot
Hmm.
take away your ideas, your authentic ideas. I mean, that tool is used just to enhance your productivity, right? I mean, you can't really rely on that tool. Even if a writer, if he wants to write something, he cannot just ask AI or chat GPT to write a book for them, because it's not going to give them a whole entire book. And
Right.
even if it does, it won't be their original work. It would lack creativity. And that's what, literature is all about. It's about
Right.
being creative. It's about, putting forth your own original ideas. I mean, I don't think it's gonna impact writers in the long run. I mean, it can't. It can definitely help them. It can
Right.
help writers, but it cannot replace writers. So there's a difference.
And it may not be able to devise romantic emotions as well, right, Sarah?
Oh yes, definitely. It cannot. I mean, it cannot replace human emotions as well. I mean, the things that we feel,
Yeah.
an AI tool won't be able to feel that.
Yeah. And do you also, sort of make sure that there are a representation of different backgrounds and identities in your work? Does your characters comes from different groups?
Yes, of course. I mean, my third book, it was, half of the book has been based in London, in the United Kingdom. So there were a few characters that came from different ethnicities and different backgrounds. So it was nice working, working with a couple of different sort of characters. And even moving forward, like I said, my sixth book is about two people coming from different backgrounds and different cultures, different ethnicities. So that was a really motivating factor for me, because that made me explore more about someone else's culture, someone else's ethnicity. I got to explore a lot, so much about the other culture as well. So it was really nice experience for me, and I would definitely like to continue and take this forward even in my future projects as well, because
Right.
it creates a room for a lot of creativity, and helps you understand and learn more about different things as well. I mean, you just can't write about your own culture all the time. I would love to explore more different cultures as well. Like I said, it's a cross
Right.
cultural romance, and it's gonna be really exciting because I'm really excited for it.
We surely look forward to reading your new work, Sarah. Before I end up our program, I'm inquisitive to ask: had Sarah not been a writer of romantic fiction, what would she would have pursued in her career?
I don't think I would have pursued any other career apart from being a writer. I don't think so because honestly, I never wanted to become anything else other than
Right,
a writer.
right,
I'd rather known, as a reader or as a writer. That's it.
right, right. Sarah,
Yes.
we wish you all the best, and we want you to come up with many more books so that we can read. And once again, thank you so much for your time, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Sumit, for having me on your podcast, and I really look forward to it becoming live. And thank you again for your time.
Thanks.